Hello everyone, welcome to your partner in education, Agile Rank Mate. Today, in this episode of VITEEE Workshop, we're going to be looking at a much demanded subject of VITEEE. Now, a lot of people have asked me to take up a video on biology, and it's true, biology is one of the subjects that will be encountered in the VITEEE exam. Now, when it comes to biology, you need to have a lot of static knowledge, and so therefore this video is extremely descriptive about the question itself and also about the various options that come in, whether the right or the wrong ones, and also to recognize which options are correct. So we'll be doing a lot of delving into each question, and we hope that it helps you out with your biology exams. Let's move on.
Gambusia fish has been introduced in lakes and ponds of India to control a deadly disease. It does so by feeding on the larva of A. nepenthes, B. anopheles, C. dragonfly, D. housefly. So let's look at our question. The question is asking about Gambusia fish. Gambusia fish control the deadly disease malaria. So since they control malaria, they have to eat mosquitoes because mosquitoes hatch their larvae in lakes and ponds, basically in standing water. And so it feeds on the larvae of option B, Anopheles. So option B, Anopheles, is the right answer because Anopheles mosquito is the vector for malaria. Let's look at the other options. Option A, nepenthes, refers to the pitcher plant. So option A is incorrect. Option C, dragonfly, is also incorrect. And option D, housefly, is a vector for elephantiasis. So now let's move on to the next question. Now, to conclude, Gambusia fish have been introduced in lakes and ponds of India to control malaria, and it does so by feeding on the larvae of the Anopheles mosquito. Next question. An antiviral substance is A. antigen, B. antibody, C. interferon, and D. antibiotic. So let's look at each of our options. Option A, antigen. Now, antigen is the toxin or foreign substance which is coming into the body, and these cause diseases. So they initiate antibody response. So antigens cause diseases instead of acting against them. So option A is incorrect. Option B, antibody. Now, antibodies are made of immunoglobulin proteins, and these immunoglobulin proteins are produced by self. So the body itself produces these immunoglobulin proteins which act against all kinds of pathogens. So whether it be virus or antibiotic, whether it be a virus or bacteria or protozoans, anything can be countered using an antibody. So these are not specifically antiviral. So option B is incorrect. What about option D, antibiotic? Now, antibiotic is a substance which is used to kill bacteria. So this works against bacteria and bacteria only. So option D is incorrect. The right answer is option C, interferons. Now, these interferons are glycoproteins, and they are produced by viral infected cells. So when a cell is infected by a virus, it produces these interferons, and they stop or get in the way of virus replication. So that's why option C, interferon, is an antiviral substance. Option C is the right option. Which of these malarial parasites has the longest incubation period? Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, and Plasmodium ovale. Now note that all of these produce malaria, but each of them have different incubation periods. Options A and D, Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium ovale, have 14 days as their incubation period. Sounds pretty long, right? Well, wait till you hear the other options. Option B, Plasmodium falciparum. This has an incubation period of 12 days. Now, since we know that from among the three, this is not the longest, we can safely conclude option B as incorrect. What about option C, Plasmodium malariae? Plasmodium malariae is a vopper. It has the longest incubation period of 30 days. So therefore, option C is the right options. A and D are lesser than C, so they don't have the longest incubation period. So option C, Plasmodium malariae, is the malarial parasite which has the longest incubation period. Next question. The type of antibodies present in colostrum secreted from the mammary glands is IgM, IgD, IgE, and IgA. So colostrum, this is the first secretion of the mammary glands, so it's called as first milk. So these are secreted in the time, so when parturition occurs, so at that point the mammary glands secrete this milk. So first milk or colostrum is secreted in the time of parturition, and then these are mandatory to be fed to a baby. And colostrum by itself is majorly composed of IgA, immunoglobulin A, and these immunoglobulin A gives you protection from inhaled and ingested pathogens. So IgA develops the mucous membrane protection, and that is the strongest kind of protection and the most important kind that a baby needs. So IgA must be fed to the baby first. So option D is the right option. So since A, B, C are incorrect, let's check out why. IgM, immunoglobulin M, is used for recognition of pathogen. So option A is incorrect. IgM is recognition of a pathogen, and it does not give you passive immunity. This is used for active immunity. Suppose IgM is given to a baby, then it has to undergo a lot of diseases and its immune system isn't strong enough. What about option B, IgD? IgD, they activate B cells in association with IgM. Again, not a pretty good response for a baby which has weak immunity. Option C, IgE, these produce allergies, and they can be negative to a baby's growth and development. So that's why option D, IgA, is the type of antibody present in colostrum, which is secreted from the mammary glands. Which of the following diseases is due to an allergic reaction? So we need to find out which of these is caused by an allergic reaction of the body. Let's look at each of our options. Option A, goiter. Goiter is the reduction of thyroxine production. So an important hormone in the body is thyroxine, and it is reduced in the presence of goiter. So in goiter, there is reduction of the production of thyroxine, and this is caused due to a lack of iodine in the diet, and this causes enlarged necks. So this is due to the lack of iodine. So it has something to do with lifestyle, and it's not an allergic reaction. So option A is incorrect. What about option D, rheumatic fever? This rheumatic fever is a side effect of another disease known as scarlet fever. And scarlet fever is caused by a streptococcus. So therefore, it's not an allergic reaction. So option D is incorrect. What about option C, skin cancer? Skin cancer is due to mutations in the skin, which is caused by exposure to UV rays. So therefore, option C is incorrect. The right answer is option B, hay fever. Hay fever is due to an allergic reaction of people towards pollen grains. So hay fever happens in the spring season when flowers bloom, and it is caused due to an allergic reaction towards pollen. Influenza is caused by. So we need to find out the causal organism of influenza. Now, influenza has the causal organism myxovirus influenzae. This is known as influenza virus. So therefore, we can safely conclude that option A is the right option. Influenza is caused by a virus. It's not caused by a bacteria or alga or a fungus. So myxovirus influenzae, which is a virus, causes influenza in humans, the flu. Next question. Which type of cancer is found in lymph nodes and spleen? Carcinoma, sarcoma, lymphoma, and leukemia. Now, these are different kinds of cancers, and we need to find out which of these is occurring in the lymph nodes and spleen. So, carcinoma refers to cancer on the skin. So, option A is incorrect. Option D, leukemia. Now, leukemia refers to malignant cells or cancer in the white blood cells of the body. So this is a threat to immunity. So option D is incorrect. Option B, sarcoma. Now, this term sarcoma is an umbrella term. Now, that means this is used for many kinds of cancer, such as bone cancer, but they do not include the cancer found in lymph nodes and spleen. So option B is incorrect. The right answer is option C, lymphoma. Lymphoma means cancer in the lymphs. So since lymphs are found in the lymph nodes, so option C, lymphoma, affects the lymph nodes and the spleen. So lymphoma is the type of cancer found in lymph nodes and spleen. Amoebiasis is caused by A, Entamoeba histolytica, B, Taenia solium, C, Plasmodium vivax, and D, E. coli. Let's look at each of our options. Option D, E. coli. The ingestion of E. coli causes food poisoning. So option D is incorrect. Plasmodium vivax is the causative agent for the disease malaria. So option C is incorrect. Option B, Taenia solium. This is known as pork tapeworm. And this pork tapeworm causes cysticercosis. Now, cysticercosis is an infection caused by pork tapeworm, and that does not cause amoebiasis, so option B is incorrect. The right answer is option A, Entamoeba histolytica. Now, since this is the only amoeba found in the four, and amoebiasis is due to the presence of amoeba in the intestinal tract, so option A is the right option. An inflammatory response in allergy is caused by the release of A, antigen, B, histones, C, histamines, and D, antibodies. Let's look at each of our options. Antigen refers to a foreign body which causes diseases. So option A is incorrect. What about option B, histones? Now, histones refer to the protein which is used in winding DNA into chromatin material and eventually chromosomes. So option B is incorrect. What about option D, antibodies? Now, antibodies are a response to the arrival of antigens. Therefore, option D is incorrect. The right answer is option C, histamines. And these histamines are actually produced by the damaged mast cells, and they release them out of broken blood vessels. And that's why we have an inflammatory response, because histamine causes vasodilation. So that is the answer to this question. Option C is the right option. Let's look at this question. Sporogony of malarial parasite occurs in A, liver of man, B, RBCs of man, C, stomach wall of mosquito, and D, salivary glands of mosquito. Now, the whole question is referring to the malaria parasite life cycle. Let's look at our question and the options. So, what happens in the liver of man during the malarial parasite life cycle? In the liver of man, the parasite matures into schizonts, schizonts. So this is not sporogony, so option A is incorrect. What about option B, RBCs of man? So in the RBCs, as found in the malaria life cycle, the merozoites, which is the pathogens, so these merozoites, they infect the RBC, and which results to bursting of the red blood cells, so lack of red blood cells. So option B is incorrect because this is not sporogony. What about option C, stomach wall of mosquito? So in the stomach wall of mosquito, the event that happens is the fusion of gametes. So in humans, sometimes the parasite divides into male and female forms, and these are sucked up by a mosquito. So when a mosquito transfers this blood, inside the stomach wall, the fusion of gametes takes place, which is not sporogony. But these fusion of gametes later form sporozoites in the salivary glands. That is sporogony. So this is the formation of sporozoites. And it is these sporozoites that is transferred when a mosquito bites a human being. And that's why option D, salivary glands of mosquito, is the site where sporogony of malarial parasite occurs. Next question. Malignant tertain malaria is caused by A, Plasmodium vivax, B, Plasmodium malariae, C, Plasmodium ovale, and D, Plasmodium falciparum. So this is a question about different kinds of malaria and the causative agent for each of them. Option A, Plasmodium vivax. This causes the deadliest malaria, and anyone affected with Plasmodium vivax can have fatal consequences such as severe disease or death. So therefore, option A is incorrect. What about option B, Plasmodium malariae? Plasmodium malariae produces the exact opposite, benign malaria. And benign malaria is very light, and so it does not immediately cause death. And this is characterized by a phenomena known as quartan fever. So fever occurs in a person after after an interval of 3 days. So if today someone has fever, then 3 days later, they will have the fever again. But in the middle, there won't be any fever. So this is known as quartan fever, and it is caused by Plasmodium malariae. Option B is incorrect. What about option C, Plasmodium ovale? Plasmodium ovale produces tertain malaria, but this kind of tertain malaria is non-malignant. So option C is incorrect. The right answer is option D, Plasmodium falciparum. This produces the malignant kind of tertain malaria, which is harmful. Our next question. HIV has a protein coat and genetic material, which is single-stranded RNA, double-stranded RNA, single-stranded DNA, and double-stranded DNA. So HIV, which causes acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, has a glycoprotein coat, and it has a double layer, and this double layer is of lipid membranes. So we have double-layered lipid membranes, and this is made of 2 protein coats. And it also has reverse transcriptase because HIV is a retrovirus, and then it has its genetic material. We need to find out what is this genetic material. Let's look at each of our options. Option D, double-stranded DNA. Now, double-stranded DNA is found in viruses such as hepatitis B, which is not a retrovirus, so option D is incorrect. What about option C, single-stranded DNA? Single-stranded DNA is found in viruses such as canine parvovirus. Now, this belongs to a family called parvoviruses, so option C is also incorrect. What about option B, double-stranded RNA? Double-stranded RNA is found in a family of viruses known as rotavirus, which is completely different from the family of HIV, which is retrovirus. So option B is incorrect. The right answer is option A, ssRNA. ssRNA, with the help of reverse transcriptase, is the reason why retroviruses infect human beings. They rewrite the DNA code. Next question. Cyclosporine is used for allergies, as immunodepressants, prophylactic for viruses, or D, none of the above. So in this problem, we need to find out what is the action of cyclosporine. And the action of cyclosporine is suppressing. And what does it suppress? It suppresses the activity of T lymphocytes. So when it suppresses T lymphocyte activity, what it does it acts as an immunodepressant. So an immunodepressant is something that suppresses immunity, and T lymphocytes are a part of the immune system. So if cyclosporine is suppressing T lymphocyte activity, then it is an immunodepressant. So option B is the right option. What about option A for allergies? So for allergies, we use antihistamines. And cyclosporine is not an antihistamine. So option A is incorrect. What about option C, prophylactic for viruses? So when something is prophylactic for viruses, it is used in passive immunity, such as vaccines for various viruses. No, vaccines are active immunity. Passive immunity is the serum directly from the infected person, which has the antibodies. So option C is also incorrect. And since option B is right, we can safely conclude that option D is incorrect, because option D states none of the above, but we know that B is correct. lysis of foreign cell is mediated through A. IgM, B. IgA, C. IgE, and D. IgM and IgG. So these are various types of immunoglobulins, and we need to find out which of these mediates lysis of foreign cell. So let's look at each of our options. Option A, IgM. IgM is the first response to an antigen, and this antigen can be viruses or bacteria, but basically these are not transplants. So option A is incorrect. What about option B, IgA? IgA is found in mucous membranes, and they provide immunity to mucous membranes. So mucous membranes, they trap the antigens, and then IgA acts on it in order to kill the antigens. So option B is incorrect. What about option D, IgM and IgG? So we know that IgM is for first response, so basically the option is incorrect, and IgG is used for remembering antibodies. So when some human is infected with an antigen, so the body fights it off initially very slowly, but then after finding out the right antibody, immunoglobulin G remembers that antibody, so that when he is affected the next time, then this antibody IgG acts on it effectively. So option D is incorrect. The right answer is option option C, IgE. Immunoglobulin E is responsible for the lysis of foreign cell. The reason why is lysis of foreign cell is basically an allergic reaction. So a reaction to a foreign body, and that's what IgE does. It causes allergic reactions. The treatment of snakebite by antivenom is an example of. Let's look at our following options. Option D, specific natural immunity. So specific natural immunity is formed by the antibodies inside of our own body. So this is basically the remembering of antibodies, and that is done by immunoglobulin G. So option D is incorrect. The example of specific natural immunity would be IgG, remembering antibodies. What about option C, naturally acquired passive immunity? An example for naturally acquired passive immunity is colostrum. So colostrum, which is the first milk that we get from our mothers, is an example of naturally acquired passive immunity because colostrum contains IgA. So therefore option C is incorrect. What about option A, artificially acquired active immunity? An example of an artificially acquired active immunity is the various kind of vaccines, such as polio vaccine, Ebola vaccines, etc. So these are artificially acquired active immunity. So option A is incorrect. The right answer is option B, artificially acquired passive immunity. So antivenom is effective against treating venom. And so since our body does not produce antivenom, antivenom is directly injected so that it acts against the venom inside due to snake bites. So this is basically an example of passive immunity, and since we inject it because of the snake bite, it is also artificially acquired. So option B is the right case for the example treatment of snake bite by antivenom. Electron beam therapy. This is a kind of radiation therapy to treat which disease? A, enlarged prostate gland, B, gallbladder stones by breaking them, C, certain types of cancer, and D, kidney stones. Option D, kidney stones. How do you treat kidney stones? We either dissolve it using medications, or we break kidney stones surgically. So there is no form of electron beam therapy or radiation therapy. So option D is incorrect. What about option B? Gallbladder stones by breaking them. Again, these have a similar treatment of either dissolving using medication or surgery, which is essentially removing the stone from the gallbladder. And this is known as cholecystectomy. Okay, so option B is incorrect. What about option A? Enlarged prostate gland. Now, for an enlarged prostate gland, what we use is medication, and this medication, it relaxes the muscles. So basically, when you have an enlarged prostate gland, you can't urinate properly. So when the muscles get relaxed, you can still start urinating. However, you can't do anything about the gland itself. So option A is incorrect. The right answer is option C, certain types of cancer. And the reason why we use this is because cancer is the advent or the origin of malignant cells. So when the body has malignant cells, they need to be killed. And radiation does that. It kills cells. So that's why electron beam therapy is used for certain types of cancers. Option C is the right option. Next question. A young drug addict used to show symptoms of depressed brain activity, feeling of calmness, relaxation, and drowsiness. Possibly he was taking which of the following drugs? A. Amphetamine, B. Marijuana, C. Pethidine, and D. Valium. We need to find out the symptoms of each of these drugs in order to find out which of these is the drug used by the young drug addict. So let's look at option A, amphetamine. Amphetamine causes psychosis, cardiac problems, and then it also causes malnutrition, as well as convulsions. Now, none of these are found in the young drug addict because he shows a different sort of symptoms. So option A is incorrect. These aren't the right symptoms. What about option B, marijuana, also known as cannabis? Now, marijuana causes bloodshot eyes. So your eyes become bloodshot, very red. And it also causes increased appetite, and it also causes weight gain due to the increased appetite, and it also causes slow reaction times. So if someone throws a stone at you and you are addicted to cannabis, then you have a slower reaction time. Now, none of these symptoms are found in our young drug addict, so option B is incorrect. What about option C, pethidine? Pethidine or pethidine is causing symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, dizziness, etc. It also causes constipation, which are not the actual symptoms, so option C is incorrect. Therefore, our right answer is option D, Valium. Valium causes depressed brain activity, feeling of calmness, relaxation, and drowsiness. So among the four, Valium is the most probable candidate for the young drug addict being using the drug. So when he uses Valium, he can have these symptoms. So he was possibly taking Valium. Option D is the right option. When children play barefooted in pools of dirty water and flood water, they may suffer from diseases like A. leptospirosis and bilharzia, B. malaria, amoebic dysentery, and leptospirosis, C. bilharzia, infective hepatitis and diarrhea, D. guinea worm infection, elephantiasis, and amoebic dysentery. We need to find out which of these is the right one. So let's look at each of our options. Guinea worm infection, elephantiasis, and amoebic dysentery. Guinea worm infection is caused due to drinking water contaminated with fleas, and elephantiasis is due to mosquitoes transmitting filarial worm, and amoebic dysentery is caused due to flies. Flies transmitting it from from feces to food, so by the fecal oral route. So option D is incorrect. What about option C? Bilharzia, infective hepatitis, and diarrhea. Infective hepatitis and diarrhea are caused due to the fecal oral route. And bilharzia is caused because of children playing barefooted in pools of dirty water. So option C is incorrect because some of them are not the correct option. What about option B? Malaria, amoebic dysentery, and leptospirosis. Over here, leptospirosis is again a correct one because it is also caused by children playing barefooted in pools of dirty water and flood water. However, malaria is due to the vector mosquitoes, and amoebic dysentery is due to the vector flies. So therefore, option B is incorrect. The right answer is option A, leptospirosis and bilharzia. Both are caused by children playing barefooted in pools of dirty water and floodwater, which is where the causative agent is. Which one of the following is not a matching pair of a drug and its category? So we need to find out which of these is not matching. So let's look at each of our options. Option A, amphetamines, is a stimulant. Now this is correct because amphetamine is used as an anti-sleep drug and it stimulates the central nervous system. So this option is true, the matchup is true, which makes the option false. So which makes the option incorrect actually. So since it's true, the option is incorrect because we're asking to find out which of these is false. Next question. Lysergic acid is a narcotic dimethylamine, and that's why lysergic acid is used for forming LSD. And LSD is a hallucinogen. And since LSD is a narcotic dimethylamide, we can say that option B, the matchup, is true. So since the matchup is true, the option itself is incorrect. What about option C, heroin psychotropic? Now they're saying that heroin is a psychotropic drug, which is correct because heroin alters behavior. So if someone consumes heroin, they have altered behavior such as mood swings. So this matchup is true. So the matchup is true. So therefore we say that option C is incorrect. The right answer is option D, benzodiazepam is a painkiller. The real reason why is that benzodiazepam is not a painkiller. It is a sedative. And this sedative, it switches off the central nervous system. And it is basically used as an anti-anxiety drug. So therefore, benzodiazepam being a painkiller is false, and that's why this option is true. Again, the reason being we are asked to find out which is not a matching pair. So over in this question, we need to learn the matching pairs. So if we know the matching pairs, then we can find the odd one out. An insect bite may result in inflammation of that spot. This is triggered by alarm chemicals such as histamine and dopamine, histamine and kinins, interferons and opsonins, interferons and histones. The first thing we can notice is that we can cancel options C and D because these contain the option interferons. And interferons, their job is to act on viruses. And they disturb the cycle of viruses, thus rendering them ineffective. So these act against viruses only, not exactly on the insect bite. So maybe an insect may be carrying a virus and it bit on you, but the interferons will not act on the bite or the inflammation at that spot. They act on the cells where the viruses are present. So they act on that virus specifically. So options C and D are incorrect. Let's look at options A and B. So we know that both of them have histamine, and histamine is a definite chemical if something is inflamed. So inflammation is due to histamine. But what about the other chemical, dopamine and kinin? Over here, now we can say that option A is incorrect because dopamine is the chemical which gives signals of being happy. So the feeling of pleasure is brought out by dopamine. So that is not helping in inflammation. So therefore, option A is incorrect. The right answer is option B, histamines and kinins. Histamine is helping in chemotaxis of white blood cells at the inflammation spot, and kinins are helpful in local vasodilation. And so local vasodilation results in inflammation of that spot. So when an insect bites you, it is due to histamine and kinins that the inflammation occurs at that spot. Antigen binding site in an antibody is found between two light chains, two heavy chains, one heavy and one light chain, either between two light chains or between one heavy and one light chain, depending upon the nature of antigens. In order to answer this question, we need to understand the structure of an antibody, a typical antibody. So let's draw one. So we have something like this, and then we have another, and we connect it like this. And so this is now connected to another block, and that block is parallel to another block chain. And then we have something like this, which is again connected to two chains, and both chains are connected to that line. So this is a basic structure of an antibody. So in an antibody, whenever there is an antigen, so let's consider this an antigen. So the antigen binds here. That is the antigen binding site. Now, what about these blocks? Now, the block which is not connected, this is known as a light chain. And the blocks which are connected, which include these as well as these, which are connected by sulfide bonds, they are known as heavy chains. So this is a typical structure of an immunoglobulin. Now, notice at the antigen binding site, one of these is a heavy chain and the other is a light chain. So an antigen binding site in an antibody will be found between option C, one heavy and one light chain. If you look at two light chains, they're far apart, so there is no space, and they're also covered by heavy chains. Between two heavy chains, that is here, but the antigen only affects here and here. So therefore, option B is also incorrect. So, and since antigens always go between one heavy and one light chain, we can say that option D is also incorrect. That it is not dependent on the nature of the antigen. This question, the antigen binding site are present where on the antibody molecule? Again, it's the same question repeated. So we can write option A on light chain as well as on heavy chain as the answer. Because if you look at our previous diagram, we see that there is a heavy chain here, there's a light chain here, and the antigen binding site is between them. That's where the antigen binds. So option A on light chain as well as on heavy chain is the right answer. On light chain only, on variable region and constant region, on heavy chain only is all incorrect. The right answer is option A, and that we found out because of the structure that we drew on the previous question. Let's look at this question. Which one of the following antimicrobial drugs is suitable for treatment of both tuberculosis and leprosy? Is it A, isoniazids, B, R-aminosalicylic acid, C, streptomycin, D, rifampicin? Over here, the thing to note is that is the causative agents for both tuberculosis and leprosy. Both begin with the term Mycobacterium. So basically both belong to the same genus, Microbacteria. For TB, it is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And for leprosy, it will be Mycobacterium leprae. So we need to find out which of these affects the Mycobacterium genus. So let's look at each of our options. Option A, isoniazid. Now, isoniazid is an effective drug for TB only. So option A is incorrect. What about option B? R-aminosalicylic acid. R-aminosalicylic acid is again a TB only drug. It only cures tuberculosis by attacking Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So option B is incorrect. What about option C, streptomycin? Streptomycin is a general antibiotic, and this antibiotic is used for severe conditions. So if you have a severe condition of TB, this works, but this is only for severe conditions, and for one thing, and second thing, it can affect many diseases, not just tuberculosis and leprosy. So option C is incorrect. The right answer is option D, rifampicin, because rifampicin affects the the bacteria in the Mycobacterium genus. And since TB and leprosy are both in Mycobacterium genus, we can safely say that rifampicin is suitable for treatment of both tuberculosis and leprosy. So option D is the right option. Antigen is a substance which A, lowers body temperature, B, destroys harmful bacteria, C, triggers the immune system, and D, antigen is used as an antidote to poison. Let's look at this question. So, what is an antigen? An antigen is a foreign body, and this foreign body triggers the release of antibodies, which make up the immune system. So option C, triggering the immune system, is the right answer. What about the other options? So let's look at them, right? Option A, lowers body temperature. This is due to alcohol or other drug use. So drug use is the reason for low body temperature. That can also be achieved by cooling down the body or the surroundings. So these are due to a variety of cases. So option A is incorrect. What about option B? Destroys harmful bacteria. That is done by an antibiotic and not an antigen. Antigen is the harmful bacteria that enters, which are countered by antibiotics. So option B is incorrect. And option D, antidote to poison. An example for an antidote to poison is atropine, and atropine is not an antigen. So option D is incorrect. The right answer is antigen is a substance which, option C, triggers the immune system. Which of the following is a pentameric immunoglobulin, and it is produced first in a primary response to an antigen? So we need to find out which of these is pentameric. Now, that clue gives us an instant bonus, because we know that option A, option C, and option D are all incorrect. One, because of the fact that they are monomers. So IgG, IgA, and IgE are monomers, and since we're to find out a pentameric immunoglobulin, that instantly leads to option B, IgM. And since we know that IgM is produced first in a primary response to an antigen, we can also find out that option B is the right answer. IgG, this is used for remembering antibodies. IgA is the immunity which is present in mucous membrane. So when some antigen is stuck against a mucous membrane, and IgA acts on it. And IgE is the antigen which is antibody which is infamous for producing allergic reactions. So, and since all of these are monomers, we can safely say that IgM is the right answer because 1, it is pentameric, B, it is produced first in a primary response to an antigen. Cattle, which is fed with spoiled hay and sweet clover, which contains the chemical dicumarol, contains, so option A, are healthier due to a good diet. Option B, catch infections easily. Option C, may suffer vitamin K deficiency and prolonged bleeding. Option D, may suffer from beriberi due to deficiency of vitamin B. Now, spoiled hay and sweet clover containing dicumarol causes hemorrhagic syndrome. Now, hemorrhagic syndrome is basically internal bleeding in cattle, and this is due to a deficiency of vitamin K. Therefore, cattle fed with spoiled hay with sweet clover containing dicumarol may suffer from hemorrhagic syndrome, which is they may suffer from vitamin K deficiency and prolonged bleeding. So option C is the right option. Option A is downright incorrect because since hemorrhagic syndrome is not a part of healthy cattle, option A is incorrect. Option B, catch infections easily, is incorrect because cattle, like humans, also have antibodies in them. And option D, may suffer from beriberi due to deficiency of vitamin B, is incorrect because the diet of spoiled hay, sweet clover, and containing dicumarol does not cause a deficiency of vitamin B. So option D is also incorrect. The right answer is option C. Cattle fed with spoiled hay and sweet clover containing dicumarol undergoes and may suffer from hemorrhagic syndrome, that is vitamin K deficiency and prolonged bleeding. Opium is obtained from Rhizis sativa, Coffea arabica, Thea sinensis, Papaver somnifera. Now this question is easy. All we have to do is find out which of these options produce opium. We need to find out the products of each of the 4 options. Rhizis sativa is the plant which produces Asian rice. Option A is incorrect because it does not produce opium. Option B, Coffea arabica. That is pretty simple because the genus itself tells you that this produces coffee. So option B is incorrect. Coffea arabica produces coffee beans, not opium. Now, option C, Thea sinensis. Now, sinensis would mean China, and tea originates from China, and it's originating from the plant Thea sinensis. So option C is incorrect. The right answer is option D, Papaver somnifera. This is known as the opium poppy, and it's from the opium poppy that we get opium, which contains the drugs morphine and heroin. So opium is obtained from Papaver somniferum, which is the scientific name of the opium poppy. We need to match the following bacteria with the diseases. So column 1 has Treponema pallidum, Yersinia pestis, Bacillus anthracis, and Vibrio. Column 2 contains the diseases plague, anthrax, syphilis, and cholera. Now, when we look at our options here, we find that Bacillus anthracis would give you a giveaway that it causes the disease anthrax in cattle. So option C in column number 1 matches with option 2 in column number 2. Next, matching up. Cholera is due to the bacteria Vibrio cholerae. So we can conclude that option D in column 1 matches up with option 4 in column 2. Now let's move on to our options. Now over here, we find out that options B and C are incorrect because in option B, D is given as 3, so that means Vibrio is used for syphilis, which is incorrect, and option C, which states that Bacillus anthracis causes the plague, which is also incorrect. So B and C are incorrect. What about A and D? how do we prove that A and D are, which of the following among A and D are correct? So now let's use logic. Treponema pallidum, if you've studied in reproductive health, is the causative agent for the disease syphilis. So option A in column 1 matches up with option 3 in column 2. And which of the following contains that? Option A as well as C. But since we know that C is incorrect, we can safely say that option A is the right option. And so we can say D is incorrect due to the fact that it says Treponema pallidum causes the plague, where in fact it causes syphilis. So when we look at our option 1, we also know that Yersinia pestis causes the plague. So that is how we solve this question. We match the easy ones first, and then we look at our options in order to find out which of these is right. So that can help you a long way. Sometimes we can do this using one single step, but in this case we have to use multiple steps. Which one of the following is a correct match? Option A, bhang is used as an analgesic. Now bhang is a ritual drink, and this ritual drink contains cannabis, which is basically marijuana. And this cannabis, it causes slow reaction time, basically, and it also causes a host of other issues. So basically bhang is not an analgesic, it is a harmful drug. So option A is incorrect. What about option B, cocaine? It is given that cocaine is an opiate narcotic. However, cocaine's origin is from the coca plant, while opiate narcotics come from opium poppy. An example for that is heroin or morphine. So option B is incorrect because cocaine does not originate from the opium poppy. Now, option C, morphine hallucinogen. Now, the action of morphine is actually a painkiller, and it is not exactly a hallucinogen. Morphine reduces pain, so option C is incorrect. The right answer is option D, barbiturate, which is a tranquilizer, because barbiturate, it causes and it is used in anesthesia. So option D, barbiturate as a tranquilizer, is the right option.
So that concludes this episode of VITEEE Biology. We hope you found this episode interesting. For more of our useful and interesting content, don't forget to subscribe to Agile Rankmate, your partner in education. If you want to get the latest updates from VITEEE Biology or other subjects from VITEEE or other exams, then please don't forget to hit the notifications icon that's present below the video. Anyway, that's all for today, folks. Until the next webisode, take care, stay alert, bye-bye for now.